let's introduce ourselves to the idea of object-oriented programming and start talking about things like classes, objects, properties, and methods, and start to get comfortable with what those things might be. So I'm going to start with the example of a car, and I'm going to say this little black car that we have is a class. This little black car is a generic or abstract model of what a class or a car looks like. We can think of a car that has, all cars have generic properties. All cars have properties like a year, things that describe what the car is or looks like. All cars have a year. All cars have a certain number of doors. Some are 2 doors, some are 4 door. All cars have some transmission type like manual or automatic. Another thing that all cars have in common is the fact that they can do things, and we call that methods. A car can, for example, all cars go forward. All cars can stop. All cars can reverse. So we're creating this abstract blueprint or model that describes things that all cars share, all common characteristics that all cars share. They all have certain properties, and they all can do the same types of things. So from our blueprint or our abstract or our class, we can create another copy. We can create a car, a unique car from that blueprint or from that class. So in this example, I've created the first object and I've created from my blueprint or from my class. And what that means is, because of the fact that all cars have properties, this particular car also has properties, but these properties are unique to this car. So any car that I make from the class, any object that I make from the class also has properties, but the properties get unique values. So this particular car was made from this blueprint, but this car has a unique year. This car has 2 doors and is manual. So if we were to create other cars, we can create multiple cars from the same abstract class, and all of these cars are also going to have the same properties, but we get to change the values of the properties that make it unique for this car. In other words, if I wanted to create this car, now because I'm creating it from this blueprint, I don't have to recreate it each time. And in other words, if I want to create this car, I don't have to say, okay, first I've got to design all the properties and then I'll assign the properties to this car. I can simply say, because I'm creating this car from this class, I can assume that this car has all of these properties, but I can make it unique to this car. So let's take that another step. We call this instantiating an object from the class. And all that means is when you instantiate an object, you're simply creating in our case, we're creating a car from our abstract class. So we've instantiated, we've created a new instance of a car from our original class, from our original blueprint, all of which are receiving the properties, and all of which receive the properties but get individual values. Well, what about the methods? Let's look at that. Make this little police car go away so I have some more room. Okay, so we said that each car has methods. Now, methods are things that the car can do, so think of this as verbs. Now, I'm pretty darn sure that both of these cars can go forward, but it's going to take different methods. Even though they both can go forward, there's different ways that we have to go about making them go forward. For example, in order to make this car go forward, because it's a manual transmission, I need to apply steps to make it go forward. And that's why this is a method. So a method, you usually see notated with parentheses, and a method will contain a list of instructions that are specific to this instance. So even though both of these cars can go forward, they're each going to have specific instructions that are particular to this car. Similar to the fact that this car, even though it is an inherited, we call it inherited properties, the properties are unique to this car. So in order to go forward in a manual vehicle, here's the steps to apply the clutch and shift and do those sorts of things. But if we look at our other car, this particular car can also go forward, but it requires some different steps. So we say that both of these cars share the method, or they both can go forward, they both can stop, but they might do it in a little different way. But the idea here is that we don't have to recreate the wheel, no pun intended there. The idea behind object-oriented programming is that we create an abstract model, and in that abstract model we think about all the properties and the methods that anything created with that blueprint would also need to use or need to have. And then once we create or instantiate an object from that class, that object can get different values or different sets of instructions that it needs for those properties or values. So that's an introduction. I hope that helps get us started on what is a class, what is an object, what are properties, and what are methods.